two. They're in the heat of the game, it's clear. He's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m. And that means it's time to look back at the week that was on Raw and SmackDown and the week that is to come. It is the Locker Room Breakdown and the Rasslin Recap. I am OM Dynamic, and I am joined once again by my partner in crime, Mr. Chris Best. Great to have you back on the show, brother. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a quiet day for me. Just kind of relaxed around the house and did some gaming.
I hear you. I had the Blue Jays game on for the majority of the afternoon, and then I put on the American Hockey League Championship Series, which is actually heading to overtime. But, I mean, what a week we've had in wrestling between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, it was an interesting week, that's for sure. A lot of enjoyable moments, a lot of questionable moments as well.
Yeah. And I think we're headed for the same thing this week. But let's kick off Monday Night Raw, and we had Obafemi open the show and really absorb the crowd. The crowd was loud. The term I like to use is very, very vibrant for the audience. And he came out saying he was going to run his way through the King of the Ring, but still wanted a rubber match with Brock Lesnar. But then he had a rather interesting confrontation as his opponent, Dom, came out to call him out.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I've been saying I think I need to see in these tournaments is stories being built and like some mini feuds being formulated out of these tournaments. And it got me hyped for their match tomorrow night, which we'll talk about later.
Yes. Yeah, this was very, very intriguing. Oba closing the segment, though, by saying, I've met your father, Rey Mysterio, but next week you meet your daddy.
That line kind of fell flat for me, just a smidge.
Okay. We did then at a point see JD McDonough come in and try to attack Oba with a steel chair.
Yeah.
And that went nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for JD.
No, it didn't work out for JD or Dom, to be honest. Oba is really, really strong on the mic. I just wish that they would have him working with some bigger men, really, to start his career. Not just Brock Lesnar, but had they not moved Gunther to SmackDown, I would have seen that as the next real rivalry.
Well, I think if you want to build a star out of Obafemi, which is what they're clearly doing, they are giving him some big names in the wrestling business. I mean, Brock Lesnar, now Dom. Dom, I do consider Dom to be a big name now.
Yeah.
And I think that this is more or less just them trying to build the star that they want to be Obafemi to be. And sometimes you don't have to have him fighting giants all the time. Sometimes you got to have him taking on the little guys too. So you got to vary it up a little bit with what you do with Obafemi.
You do. You're absolutely right. But this is something that we have seen really over the last, I'm going to say 3 years from his time in NXT, where he was really sort of the big man on campus.
Yeah, to be fair, in NXT, he was the only giant there until Keanu Carver showed up.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it that way, where he's used to working with the smaller guys, which is great when it comes to the endurance and putting on a longer match.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of really working up with guys to his size, his height, and potentially his physicality.
Yeah. I did forget that Josh Briggs is down there too, and he's kind of a big guy too. So,
Yep, and Jasper Troy.
but Jasper Troy, okay, so when Oba was on his way out, when Jasper Troy was on his way in, so
Yeah.
But no, this I was excited about this. I like that they use this promo to build a story within the King of the Ring tournament. And that's again, I've been saying this, like if we want to go back to that single that one-on-one format, you can do that. You can build stories just using the qualifying matches and put them on at PLEs or Saturday night's main event or like a special episode of Raw, or even if you're going to if you want to do what I suggest, throw some NXT guys in there. You can do it on a special episode of NXT as well.
Absolutely.
You can build complete stories in this tournament. We did have one on Friday with LA and Jey Uso, and we'll talk a little bit later on that one as well.
Yes, absolutely. So on to our first Queen of the Ring qualifier match for this past week. And the one person that I didn't understand why she was in the tournament, Liv Morgan, taking on Alexa Bliss, Chelsea Green, and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I sort of question it too, but I'm also with this whole thing with Liv Morgan. I am playing that wait and see game because I feel like there's got to be something of substance that's going to come out of this. Because as we know, Liv Morgan did take the win on Monday for this. I'm playing the wait and see game on this one because I'm very, very curious about this.
Yeah, this was a very interesting match. Now, what I liked about the placement of this match was that you took two other competitors that had a match later in the night.
Mm-hmm.
Away from interfering, as well as letting them get ready for their match that happened on Friday. And I am talking about Sol Ruka and Lyra Valkyria.
Right.
But this was a very, very entertaining match. And yes, you alluded to it. Liv Morgan picked up the win, stealing the win with a pin over Chelsea Green, who appeared to have it locked up.
Yeah. Yeah, stealing the win, definitely, because that's definitely like Judgment Day motif. That was more not just Liv stealing it, but being the ultimate opportunist and just seeing the opportunity when she saw it,
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, Liv Morgan really ad nauseum. We know that she is really a favorite amongst all of us here and really has become one of the most improved women's wrestlers. I mean, she's a Royal Rumble winner. She's a Money in the Bank winner. Now she can potentially win the Queen of the Ring and take SummerSlam off if she really wanted to.
Yeah, and that's why, I don't know why, but I'm leaning towards now Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going into the finals.
Yeah, and I am with you there. 100% I am.
And there's a part of me that's like thinking that I think Raquel could take the win in this one. And then they do she does the I beat you once, I can beat you again. I'll see you at SummerSlam.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We know that Liv would probably try and get Raquel to go and challenge Rhea Ripley. Mm-hmm. Much the same way that Roman Reigns is doing with Jey Uso to say, go challenge Cody, and then we can run both.
Yes. And same thing, many moons ago, Triple H did it to Batista when Batista won the Royal Rumble.
What I'm going to suggest here, and this is going to be a little bit different, is could we get potentially a new male member to the Judgment Day? And then you go to a Judgment Day versus Bloodline feud on Raw.
Now, who would you add in that situation?
Very, very difficult to call, but I mean, I would honestly, if you need something for Grayson Waller, pull him up. Like, yes, he was that comedy spot for the New Day. He was also He's always been really a comedy spot. We don't need that. So maybe this is a way to bring out a little more aggression from him.
I could see that. But I went outside the WWE in my head, and
Okay.
I thought that, like, in retrospect, I think this guy should have been the perfect addition to the Judgment Day, perhaps becoming the leader of the Judgment Day. And I went to Karrion Kross.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
But
also going to suggest, and I'm going to go to NXT for this one, and it's a name you just alluded to. But what about a Josh Briggs?
I could get behind that too. Yeah, I can get behind that too. Him being like, I could see him coming in being like the rookie muscle. Like he had a combination of both, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I did find myself really enjoying this matchup, and I found myself invested in Chelsea Green, as I have been for like the
Yeah.
longest time. I'm very much invested in this babyface character that Chelsea is doing as well.
Absolutely. Really where I had lost interest, and I mean, for me, maybe it's just because I'm tired of it. But Becky Lynch, really, for me, she just lost the Intercontinental Championship. She doesn't need to be right back into a title picture. I find that she uses those things as more as props and aesthetics, as opposed to actually caring about being the champion.
But yeah,
And
go ahead.
I have been pleading for better booking for Alexa Bliss. Can we please get 5 Feet of Fury and the Goddess back?
Yeah, I'm very curious about where they're going with her, and we'll talk later on that one as well, because we'll be talking about her partner later on as well.
Yes, we will. Backstage, we get an interview with Seth Rollins, who talks about the unfinished business that he and Roman Reigns have, and says, Roman Reigns has never been able to beat me without any assistance, which is true. But Seth's in the same boat, really. He's never been able to truly beat Roman Reigns without any assistance.
Well, he did win the win the WWE title by cashing in the Money in the Bank. He didn't have assistance that night,
other than the Money in the Bank and making it a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
He still didn't have any assistance.
No, that's true.
But yeah, again, this was building a story within the King of the Ring tournament. I really liked it. It's also that whole thing that even I want to see wrestlers do for the Royal Rumble, where they would pick wrestlers that, like, you don't necessarily think would win the Royal Rumble, but then they cut promos that make you think, oh, maybe Doink will win the Royal Rumble or something like that. Like I kind of like that they do that. They're adding emphasis on how important winning the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments are, and how it's going to lead to SummerSlam. And they're really promoting SummerSlam as it should be, the secondary WrestleMania.
Absolutely. And I know last year, for me, SummerSlam stood above WrestleMania, and I'm leaning to it being the same thing this year, where it was just a far better PLE with more emphasis on the action as opposed to the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
We move on to our first championship match of Monday Night Raw. This is going to be a very championship heavy edition of the show too, ladies and gentlemen, because we had 2 championship matches last week. We get 2 championship matches this coming Friday. But let's go to the Women's Intercontinental Championship and Sol Ruca versus Lyra Valkyria in what I believe was really Sol's first standout match on the main roster.
Yeah, this was just fire. Both her and Lyra just stole the show. And it came to a point where we thought that Lyra could very well win that championship. And again, it still told a story within the Queen of the Ring tournament, because not only did they have their match on Monday, but they were also going to be in the Fatal 4-Way on Friday night.
Yes.
And again, I'm glad that they did this, and congratulations to Sol Ruka on successfully retaining the title.
Yeah, I was really intrigued. I was wondering to see what would happen. Would we get that Lyra snapping? Would we get Bayley coming out because of frustration? Because both Bayley and Lyra have not had a lot of success of late, both as singles competitors or as tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And is it maybe time for a little more aggression from both of them to really take the reins and force the hand of the WWE?
I think if you want to make them make a statement, then you have to have them attack Brie and Paige for and get their shot at the title, or at least go after Fatal Influence, who are also trying to gun for those tag team titles.
Yes. So very, very intriguing. And this is something that we have been asking for a long time, because I've still got Lyra to potentially win a women's championship by the end of the year. But as the days go by, those chances are starting to dwindle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be very, very intriguing. Now, it was mentioned, Michael Cole did state before this match that Lyra was unable to challenge while Becky held the championship, which really should not have been a factor, because Becky had lost the championship and regained it since that stipulation was put in.
Yeah. I don't get that either. But regardless, it was great to see Lyra finally taking advantage. And you got to remember too that when Becky won the belt the second time, the Intercontinental title wasn't necessarily Lyra's focus at that time.
No.
Her focus became the tag team between her and Bayley.
Absolutely it did. And I have to wonder if that played a little bit into everything that happened as well, was the allure of the Queen of the Ring, as well as the tag team titles, maybe a little bit more of a focus for Lyra as opposed to the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is not only that, but Bayley's got her focus is right now on what's going on in AAA with her, especially with her tag team partner, with her tag teaming with Lola Vice and La Catalina down there against Las Toxicas.
Okay, yeah. So very, very interesting to see where they go. Is it maybe time to pull the trigger on breaking up Lyra and Bayley, moving one of them to another brand, or having just one of them turn heel on the other?
I say keep them together, and then because right now they're kind of split apart, but not really, because I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought here. I don't think it's time to split them apart. I think it's more keep them together, but keep them apart, so that when they actually come back together in their next tag team match, it feels fresh again.
Okay. We also saw after the match Chad Gable approaching Penta and making his apologies for his disrespect of Lucha Libre, and even acknowledging that it all started with a loss to Penta. And Penta saying, I appreciate that, but there's one person you need to talk to and really make that apology to.
Yeah, and this is Chad Gable going on his apology world tour, as I'm calling it. I'm again, Chad Gable, how do you do this? But you always keep me intrigued on what you're doing.
Right.
This is Chad Gable definitely stepping up and acknowledging his respect for the Lucha Libre wrestling. Because he even said, like, during that promo, and I believe it was also, he also said it when he was talking to Ray Phoenix a couple weeks ago, where he had said, like, I know that I donned the mask to poke fun at the Lucha Libre at luchadors and the lucha libre style of wrestling. But over the year or year and a half or however long it's been, he's learned to respect the business, and so that's what he's going around doing.
Yeah.
And I know that there was a little bit of trepidation, at least from Penta, because as it was stated, Penta was the one that basically triggered Chad Gable into becoming El Grande Americano original. Yes. And then he did say there is one man you need to apologize to, and I believe I said right away he's got to apologize to Rey.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, that is.
Yes.
I kind of would like to see him continue this tour and then maybe try to do it in AAA, but have the luchadors actually be very like, I don't trust you kind of thing.
Right. Well, and we saw that, and we saw it later on in the night when Chad Gable was he showing this reform side, but we will discuss that because we do go backstage again, and we saw the Usos and Jacob Fatu show up in Seth Rollins' locker room.
Yeah, and I can't remember what was actually stated here or said here.
This was warning Rollins about everything he said about the tribal chief and the family. And saying, you know, you got to watch what you say. Jay then told Jacob, get this fool. And Jacob turned and walked away.
Yeah, because as Jacob had stated, he doesn't acknowledge Jimmy. He doesn't acknowledge Jay, but he will acknowledge Roman. So when Roman tells him to do something, he will do it.
Yes. So on to a very, very interesting and I'm going to say maybe a promo that dragged on a little bit too long. We had LA Knight come out to talk about his King of the Ring match on Friday against Royce Keys, Jey Uso, and Finn Balor. And saying that he will talk about the family as much as he wants to because he doesn't acknowledge a tribal chief. This, I think, dragged on, and then Jay coming out at the very end, really, when he should have been out probably 5 to 6 minutes earlier.
Yeah, it did seem like LA Knight was kind of repeating himself from the start of the promo because I feel like there were some things he said about like 3 times in the promo. But at the same time, this is that whole building the story within the tournament that I wanted to see from the get-go. I do like the way that and I pointed this out too, that when Jay came out, he didn't come out through the crowd eating with everyone. He came out and he had like a mission, like he was laser focused on LA Knight standing in the middle of that ring.
Yeah.
And this tells me, and actually, you know what, I'll leave my thoughts on that one for when we go to talk about SmackDown.
Okay. Now, this did say it almost got physical as well, but Jimmy came down to play Peacemaker. Mm-hmm. And is it Jimmy that is trying to sort of say, yes, we're bloodline, but we're not. Like, we still have our appreciation and our respect for you, LA. You are still our friend. Is he trying to be that bridge to the locker room and the bloodline?
I think it's more Jay or Jimmy telling Jay to like just wait for your moment. You've got a match with him on Friday. You want to punch him then? You want to punch him? Wait till Friday and punch him then. It's more or less Jimmy trying to wrangle in Jay, because Jay has been kind of a little bit on the explosive side with his anger lately.
Well, it's been going on. Like we said it probably last year around this time that it was almost time for Jay to turn. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we still haven't seen that. We've been waiting and waiting. We've also anticipated Jimmy making that turn. And Jimmy is now being the level-headed one where Jay's always been fueled a little more by emotion. Mm-hmm. And thinking with his heart instead of his head.
Right. And I think, yeah, again, I think that's Jimmy just taking the lessons from what Jay taught him and just reapplying them back to Jay.
Okay, I was going to say, because we also know that Roman is pretty level-headed, so is Jimmy the one that actually listens to Roman?
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
And then we move on to our second championship match of the night, and you called it the Chad Gable Apology Tour. This is maybe the Chad Gable Redemption Tour as we go to our men's Intercontinental Championship match. Rey Mysterio challenging Penta in a match that was offered by Penta.
Yeah, and I really think that these guys told each other in the back, like, let's just go tear the house down, because that's exactly what they did. And we all thought that we were going to see Rusev and Ethan Page show up in the middle of the match, and they did show up. And what a match that these two gentlemen had put on, and it just furthered the fuel that is going on with this Intercontinental title picture with Rusev, with Ethan Page, and now Chad Gable being involved, because as we saw, Chad Gable came out to help Penta and Rey after they were attacked by both men.
Yeah, Penta did get the win clean, and then we did see Page and Rusev attack. And as well, it was Rusev that pulled the mask off of, I believe it was Rey.
Yeah, it was Rey they pulled the mask off of. And what I liked about that was how quick Penta was to go over and cover Rey, the whole protecting of the mask. And then Rusev, we saw him throw the mask down on the mat somewhere after Chad Gable came in and made the save, and Chad Gable came back and re-administered that mask onto Rey.
Yeah. Well, Gable picked up the mask and went over and literally just offered it to Penta, who I was waiting for the snatch of the mask as opposed to just taking it, gently taking it like a handoff. And I'm very, very intrigued. Is this really Chad Gable's redemption tour, or is this a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is this Chad like throwing his name in the hat, saying he wants that Intercontinental title?
Oh, I'm sure it's there, and I'm sure we're probably going to get that match down the road. Potentially, I'm even going to suggest at SummerSlam in maybe a babyface versus babyface type match.
See, I think we're going to a multi-man match, because Rusev and Ethan Page, Rey Mysterio may want to get another shot at there. JD McDonough seems to have backed out of it, but I said at WrestleMania that this was a look at what Penta's Intercontinental title future looks like with the 6 competitors there. Because we also have to think about EvonEvans, who probably still wants another shot.
Yeah, that we do, but we are going to get to EvonEvans actually with our next match, which is the men's King of the Ring quarterfinal.
Yeah.
As it was EvonEvans versus Seth Rollins versus Tala Tonga versus Ricky Saints. I went into this match sort of anticipating, are we going to go to that Battle of the Giants in the King of the Ring final with Tala Tonga winning this? I know a lot of you guys had picked Seth. I had gone with Tala Tonga. I think that the Ricky Saints Carmelo Hayes situation on SmackDown is far from over. And Javon snuck his way into the Elimination Chamber by pinning Dom in a triple threat match. So I didn't think Javon really needed this one, but stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this was a fantastic match. And even Tala Tonga didn't look as dominant as he probably could have in this match. He actually looked like a wrestler, and his ability to work with the other guys.
Yeah, and that was the shining moment of that match for me, was Tala Tonga's work, because I've stated this, I feel like they are building Tala Tonga to be a big star as well.
Absolutely. Like I said, stranger things have happened. It was EvonEvans out of nowhere picking up the victory. Now, we did see Seth stomped Talatonga on the table and then hit a stomp off the barricade to Tala on the outside to really take him out of the finish.
Right.
Which allowed Javon to hit the OG cutter on Ricky Saints.
Yeah, and as we saw, EvonEvans advance. I can't remember who he's he's got Jay next, right?
He's got Jay next.
Yeah. I kind of expect that to be a high-flying, enjoyable match between those two men.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to wonder, like, because I don't think EvonEvans is ready, but could we get to, and we'll cover this a little bit more here in just a minute, what if we go to a Javon versus Dom in the final? Javon's already pinned Dom once to get into the elimination chamber. What if he pins him again to advance to the King of the Ring final? Could we then see Javon go to AAA to challenge for that AAA Mega Championship?
Again, that would be kind of throwing it all away because, like, you want that big gold. You want the bigger title. If you're winning that King of the Ring, you want to win either Cody's title or Roman's title. And actually, Javon and Cody would put on a great match. So would Roman and Javon, to be honest.
They would. They would, but I have to wonder, and I don't want to take away, because the AAA Mega Championship is, of course, the biggest title in Mexico.
Yes.
But again, could you go to that match? And you don't have to make it a main event spot. Imagine opening the show at SummerSlam with Javon and Dom.
I mean, I see where you're coming from. I think it'd be a decent match, but I don't think that's the way Javon's going to go.
Okay. We do have Chris Parrish coming in saying no one's going after the AAA title after a King of the Ring win.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's say Javon gets to the King of the Ring final, doesn't win it. Then he could still potentially do it because he can say, well, I've got 2 victories already.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, but a good evening to Chris Parrish. Good to see him here. But, Mr. Best, we're going to come right back with the preview of this week's Raw right after the people see how they can help us.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today, because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle affiliation program. If you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us behind the scenes, turnbucklestudios.org is the place to be. Hit that join button, email us your credentials, tell us how you can help us, how we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and more, turnbucklestudios.org. Now, Mr. Best, you were with me earlier today when I was getting the preview ready. So let's start with our first King of the Ring semifinal, Oba Femi and Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, I want to get to Parrish's comment first before we do that, but he says, can we agree that the best thing for AAA is that the next mega champion is someone currently working in AAA and not a main roster act? And he'd also include Americano as a AAA guy. And I will agree to that.
I understand where he's coming from with that. Yeah. I can agree to that, but it's got to be the right fit. And sometimes if the right fit might be that main roster act.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, to go to Dom and Oba Femi, I'm actually really looking forward to this matchup because I do expect that Dom's going to get tossed around like a rag doll, but I also expect that Obafemi needs to keep his head on a swivel because of the Judgment Day as a whole. And I'm talking about not just JD, but all the women that could get involved and try to help Dom to advance. JD more than likely is going to be the one who tries to help out.
Absolutely. Dom's not going to be able to win this match on a roll-up. But we've seen Dom go toe-to-toe with guys like Gunther and bigger guys as well, and he has really held his own. But I think that not just the Judgment Day, Obafemi has to keep his head on a swivel for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, but I think the only way Dom does win, because I don't see JD being a factor even if he tries to interfere. I think the only way that this does happen is if Brock Lesnar shows up tomorrow night and hits a couple F5s before while Dom is knocked out somewhere and then steals the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm honestly anticipating here. I do think that Dom is going to get tossed around. I don't think that Dom is going to win this match as much as I would love to see it. I do believe that we are going to Obafemi winning and going to the King of the Ring final. And that's where Brock cost him, because then you still have a month to build to Brock Oba 3 at SummerSlam. On to our Queen of the Ring semifinal. This is something that has really been bugging me lately, is these Judgment Day rivalries seemingly dragging on as we go to Io Sky and Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah, see, I don't think this is rivalry based. This is just a match that's happened because both women had advanced. And as much as I love Io Sky and as much as I want to throw all the championships at her, I'm going with Raquel Rodriguez to take this win.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I do think that we are going to see Raquel get that win as well, just because I love Io, but you've got to keep her away from the title for right now. Have her challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. We already know she's got a victory over Sol Ruca.
Mm-hmm.
She challenged Becky Lynch, and that was where she was cost the championship. So I think that this is the time now you put Io into that Intercontinental Championship picture. You don't even need to have her win it, but we don't need her in and around the title, and we don't need her challenging Rhea over on SmackDown either, unless you're going to move Io for Jade Meechin and BFAB to Raw.
Yeah. Now, hear me out here, and I know that this ended out out of respect, but hear me out here. But what if Asuka came in and cost Io that matchup?
A definite possibility, but again, that is something that I would see more at a Queen of the Ring or a SummerSlam, if that's going to happen.
But we still have we do still have to have other matches at Night of Champions. So
yes, we do. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what else we get for Night of Champions and where is that build going to start. And we got a very, very intriguing match announced for tomorrow night as the Chad Gable Redemption Tour begins with his first match as Chad Gable in a long time, as he goes one-on-one with Rusev.
Yeah, and in this situation, again, I'm going to expect all these players to get involved. I expect Ray to get involved, Penta to get involved, Ethan Page to get involved. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to say this. I'm going to take Ray out of the situation, just put Penta there. And I think we're going to build to the following Monday where we're going to see a tag team match with Penta and Chad taking on Rusev and Ethan Page. I don't know who's going to win the Gable Rusev matchup. I don't really have a prediction on that one right now. But I wouldn't. Okay, I'll just flat out say it. Okay, I wouldn't be too opposed if Chad Gable takes his takes the win in this his return match here.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. I think that Chad Gable is going to take the win. I think that we are going to see Ethan Page get involved, but I have to wonder if there is a third person outside of Penta or to work alongside Page and Rusev where you could potentially bring back the Creed brothers.
I could see that, but it does seem like right now that I really do think that we're going to get some kind of a tag team formation, maybe just on a one night thing between Penta and Chad Gable. And I still think that this is all leading to them challenging in a multi-man match. I don't know what kind of multi-man match, but just a multi-man match for that Intercontinental title.
Yeah, see, I think that if we're going to get it, we're going to get the clean victory, actually, from Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to get the beatdown, and then you're going to get somebody to come out and make the save.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very intriguing. And for once, not being labeled as a return, Roman Reigns to appear on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. He doesn't have a new contender yet.
No, he does not.
So that there's some openings there for anybody who wants to step up and challenge Roman, because he doesn't have a match at Night of Champions. Neither does Cody. But I'm very intrigued to see why Roman is going to be there. That's what I'm intrigued to see.
Right. One of the things that I was actually starting to think of, especially as it pertains to Night of Champions, and it used to be a night where every title was defended, but I wonder if maybe that is where you go and put some bragging rights on it, and you go with a champion versus champion type of night. In fact, you could even combine Night of Champions and Crown Jewel into one night.
I mean, you could, but I don't know if I want to go with a cross-branded champion versus champion match, only to have that again later on in the year, you know?
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm saying you can eliminate sort of the Crown Jewel and combine both shows. Now, I know that Liv's inclusion in the Queen of the Ring tournament makes that fairly difficult, unless she is not going to get through her opponent on Friday, which we will discuss here in just a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, please check out our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and we encourage you to visit our shop, support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters, wear what we wear. All of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience, and give us a shout out on the socials. Tag us in photos when you make a purchase. We will give you a shout out live on air during one of our many, many weekly programs. So, last week on SmackDown, very, very intriguing again. And we kicked it off as we were waiting. No, they gave me the wrong date. That's what I need.
Yeah.
There's the right one.
You got it?
I got it. they decided to run it backwards. So I guess we'll have to start from the main event and go back. So we had our men's King of the Ring semifinal with Jey Uso, Royce Keys, Finn Balor, and LA Knight.
Yeah.
And this was a very, very intriguing matchup. I know I had LA Knight pegged to actually potentially win it.
As did I.
But as well, you could have gone with the guy returning to SmackDown and Finn Balor to get away from the Judgment Day. Again, you could have gone to the big meaty men slap and meet with Royce Keys potentially winning it. And then, of course, Jey Uso, who was under instruction from Roman Reigns to go and win the King of the Ring and go challenge Cody for the title.
Yeah, I've had some time to think about this since Friday now, and I think I'm on the side where I'm not sure that I liked Jay taking the win. There are other avenues that you can put Jay into that picture. I kind of wanted to see, in retrospect, I kind of wanted to see Finn take the win.
Yep.
Just so that his first match back on SmackDown, he has that. He takes the win, and he automatically inserts himself into that title picture, where Sammy, Gunther, and Cody are all setting up shop right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I was looking forward to the idea of Royce Keys winning because we had seen prior to Clash in Italy, Royce Keys was stepping up, trying to jump the line ahead of Gunther to go and sign the contract. Cody even acknowledging him, yeah, we're friends, but I'm the champ. Easy to find, hard to beat. And to go to a Royce Keys versus Cody match, and they're pushing Keys the same way they're pushing Oba over on Raw, I would have been very intrigued to see that match. But we are getting that. And I thought that Jay and LA were going to take each other out of this match, to be honest, with you leaving it to Finn and Royce.
Yeah, and that's not to say that this Fatal 4-Way was not the finality between Jay and LA at all, because I do think that there's going to be another meeting between the two, and I'm going to make a bold prediction and say that it happens at the Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden in July.
Yeah, and I am with you there. Even prior to the match, though, Finn had a couple of very interesting run-ins in the back, both with Damian Priest and Tama Tonga. Both guys saying really long time no see, but you could see the tension between Priest and Finn.
Yeah. And we also saw R-Truth play like the moderator in that situation. I think what they're doing here is they're setting up Finn for at least the next 3, maybe 4 months for stories for him. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jey Uso does pick up the win in this match. And again, like you said, I really don't know. So now we've got, and we'll discuss this again in a little bit, Jey Uso versus EvonEvans this coming Friday. But we also saw the shield bomb between Uso, Knight, and Finn to put Royce Keys through the table.
Yeah, and to me, that's the only way you take a guy like Royce Keys out is you gather up all of your opponents to take out the big guy. It's a typical spot in these multi-man matches. I mean, guys like Andre the Giant made it famous in battle royals. That was the best way to make Royce Keys look strong, because let's face it, in this matchup, I don't think any of the guys who had lost this match come out weaker or anything of that nature.
Not at all. I mean, we saw Finn and Jimmy, who had come out to the ringside, wind up over the barricade, which took Finn away from the match. Royce Keys was not down through the table very long before he was able to get back in. Yeah. But he was still staggered.
And that's the other thing I think about too, is that Finn spot where he did end up in the timekeepers area with Jay. Yeah, Jay gets up faster. And I understand Jay was not in the match, so Jay was a little bit on the fresher side. But I could have used Finn at least making an attempt to run in the ring to make a stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we go back up the ramp after Jay picked up the win, he was looking at the crowd shouting, "Mine, mine." We've talked about Jay's emotions already. Does his emotion get the better of him? We know that with everything that he's got going on with Jacob, does his emotion get the better of him, questioning Roman, saying, "Why are you bringing him in? This was always the three of us." And then does he disobey Roman and challenge him for the title instead of Cody?
And that's the thing I kind of noticed, is that Cody earlier in the night did plant the seeds of doubt in Jay after saying, are you here on your own volition, or did Roman tell you to do it, to challenge me?
Yes. So one of the big things that we had to worry about last week was Gunther's stipulation for the match. Now, this played out over a few different segments throughout the show. He had told Nick Aldis early on, "You've done a pretty poor job of vetting the referees, so I'm going to pick the referee. But you're going to have to wait a little bit for my decision." So I'm going to bring up the Cody Sammy confrontation in the ring that we had with Sammy asking Cody to turn it down, turn off being the American Nightmare for a little while.
Yeah, and this was Sammy trying to be real with Cody a little bit here. And it got pretty heated between the two of these men here. And in retrospect, it started to make sense to me as to why Gunther ended up picking the last real good guy to be the referee. Because again, I think that this championship match that's coming this Friday, we'll talk a little bit about that. I think it's leading to a triple threat match, possibly at Night of Champions.
Okay. So, yes, this confrontation did lead to it. Cody said, "Sammy, you picked this in a public forum and you expect me to turn off who I am? This isn't about the title when it comes to you and me. This is just about peers and respect."
Yeah.
And, both men paintbrushed each other there with hard slaps.
Yeah, they did.
And then both said, "We good?" Or Cody asked, "Are we good?" So yes, we go back, and that was when Gunther said, "Okay, I've made my decision, and my guest ref is the last real good guy in Sami Zayn. I need a guy that's pure and a guy that's honest." And it's a guy that Gunther has had issues with in the past himself. I know I had pegged Drew McIntyre to be named as the guest ref because of his issues with Cody. I'm going to wonder, though. I'm not leaning towards the triple threat idea. I'm leaning towards Sammy costing Cody the title.
And even if that's the case, it's probably still going to lead to a triple threat match, because Sammy, knowing he can beat Gunther, probably would want Gunther to have the belt.
Probably.
He doesn't know that if he can beat Cody, so.
No, but I think we're going to go to that first and potentially get Cody and Sammy at Night of Champions, with potentially Gunther awaiting a challenger. But I have to wonder, because I still think that Drew McIntyre is lurking somewhere in all of this. which we then get another segment where Nick Aldis and Cody are talking about Sammy being the referee, and Sammy saying he's all over the place. He is unpredictable. We don't know where his head is at. And he turns around and Sammy's right there. And Cody again asks, are we good? And Sammy reiterates the words Cody had just used.
Yeah. I'm just very interested to see how this is all going to play out together.
Yeah, so that was absolutely huge. I want to jump back now, and I'm going to go to how we kicked off the show with the women's Queen of the Ring quarterfinal, which was Sol Ruca versus Lyra Valkyria versus Charlotte versus Jade. Now, in this one, I had Charlotte and Jade, who seemed to be on a collision course, taking each other out. I know we both had Lyra Valkyria picked to win this match.
I didn't pick anyone actually to win this match because I had no idea, because the women in this match, just they all speak volumes for what they're doing right now in WWE and in pro wrestling in general. I can't remember who took the win though.
Charlotte Flair took the win.
Yeah, and Charlotte and to be honest, I am actually glad that Jade didn't win. As much as I do want to see the first ever repeat winner of any one of the crowns, it's probably too soon since the introduction of the Queen of the Ring.
Right. And see, I'm glad Jay didn't win because I don't want to see the repeat winner there. Mm-hmm. And we're going to discuss Jade again a little bit later on because they did give her a new direction. I was intrigued by the thought of Charlotte Flair winning, though. Again, I didn't really want her there. I wanted Lyra in that spot to then potentially be the one. Whether she chose to jump to SmackDown and leave Bayley to challenge Rhea, or whether she went after Liv Morgan over on Raw for the title, being a Raw superstar.
Yeah.
Sol had just been, Sol just won the Intercontinental Championship. I don't need her hot shotted into the world title match at SummerSlam.
No, but this was also a very star-making moment for Sol Ruca as well. I mean, she was put in this match with a bunch of already established top stars in Lyra, in Jade, and in Charlotte. This was a test for Sol Ruca herself. She didn't need the win. She also looked very strong in this matchup. Charlotte also came out very strong. I got to say this again, week in, week out, what Charlotte is doing with everything she's doing, I'm fully invested in her, and I'm almost ready to see her in another championship picture.
You know what? I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just liking her work so much right now that I don't think she needs the title. Mm-hmm. And I know we've discussed sort of the idea of Charlotte and Rhea, who have had a huge history over the titles at WrestleMania. To do this now at SummerSlam would be intriguing, but I think we are going the other direction. And we will cover that on when we preview SmackDown. But I mean, good on Charlotte. Again, I'm disappointed that this was 2 matches in the same week for Lyra Valkyria, where she had to eat the loss, though, because she was the one that tapped to the figure 8.
Yeah, but it still did not hurt her in any way, because I don't think the main championship is the picture for her. I do think that her and Bayley are eventually going to be getting back together and then saying we're going after those tag team titles.
Yes. We also got another video package from Blake Monroe, who is coming soon. We had seen the previous week where she called out Tiffany Stratton. This week, she was looking at Charlotte Flair. Is it time to stop with these Blake Monroe vignettes and finally debut her?
No. because it wasn't just Charlotte she was going after. She was also going after Alexa Bliss. She's laying in the groundwork saying, I'm going to take all these top stars out because I myself am a top star.
Right.
So I kind of want to see her lay out some more threats.
Okay. We had a non-title women's tag team match. SmackDown was a very women's heavy show, and we were here for it. As Paige and Brie Bella battled Lainey Reed and Fallon Henley of Fatal Influence.
Yeah, and this was a match that I thought that we would see just how Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed were going to do against the champions, because I do feel like this had championship implications on it, because it's one of those things that, to me, that if you're going to pin the champion, if you can pin the champion in a non-title match, then you can pin the champion in a championship match.
Yeah. This was a physical match. This was a beautiful match. I mean, we discussed it on SmackDown as, you know, how good Brie Bella is, and, you know, Paige still hasn't lost a step. And you compare that to the two youngsters in Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed, who are really, really making their mark and have done so much. We know that Lainey Reed has never held gold, even in her time in NXT. So this was absolutely huge for them. But we saw Paige and Brie Bella pick up the victory, and it was a non-title match, so we can't even say they retained the tag team championships.
Yeah, and we also saw a sort of disappointed look on JC Jane's face. I'm not sure really what to make of that. Like, it looked like she may have been disappointed in Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed, but at the same time, if I'm seeing that, I'm like, I don't want Fatal Influence to split. I kind of want them to just step back, dust themselves off, and then try again.
You know what, though? It was something that we saw and heard from JC in NXT as well, whether it was Jasmine Nix or whether it was Lainey Reed. When Fatal Influence lost a match, or even she lost a match, she would blame everybody else and gaslight them and say they needed to step up. JC Jane got caught interfering on more than one occasion and got tossed. And I'm wondering if that's where that scowl was coming from, because it was right after she got tossed that Paige hit the Rampage DDT on, I believe it was Lainey.
Yeah. And I got to say this, Lainey Reed was kind of a star in that matchup, not going to lie. And she's one of those call-ups that, like, I felt like she in any other call-up, she would not have been ready. But she's also one of those call-ups that, like, if you just give her some time, in about 2-3 years, she could be a top star.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say this. I'm going to give her a year before you're really putting her, 2 years to put her really in the same category as a Roxanne Perez and a Lyra. But I'm already grouping her with a Lash Legend, and I'll even say a woman that we haven't seen a lot of in a while in Maxine. But my results decided to close on me for
OMD having some
yeah,
troubles.
my results decided to close on me, and then it flipped back to the proper order for everything. So
I was going to say, don't get me wrong, I do expect that Fatal Influence are going to get another shot. They are going to ask for another rematch for the tag titles. And I think Paige and Brie are going to be like, okay, we beat you once, we'll beat you again, but we'll put our belts on the line. And it could be in that scenario that they actually lose the tag team titles.
Well, and I'm going to suggest this because I know you've suggested the multi-person match for the Intercontinental Championship. Do we go again to that multi-team match with Bailey and Lyra versus Fatal Influence versus Paige and Brie?
If that were the case, I might want to think about throwing the Irresistible Forces in there as well.
So the complete WrestleMania rematch.
Possibly.
So we come to yet another championship match, but this one is a title you don't expect to see defended on SmackDown. We had the AAA Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Fenix, defending against Axiom in a match that absolutely stole the show.
Stole the show. It stole the week. This was this is the one thing I've been saying that I've wanted to see since the WWE acquired AAA. I want to see a little bit of AAA representation on the main roster to just promote the AAA show that they do on Saturdays. Whether it's having Mr. Iguana show up on an episode of SmackDown or whether it's Rey Fenix defending the Cruiserweight title. There was a part of me in this match that kind of wanted to see Laredo Kid step in because I think Laredo Kid is going to get asked for a rematch for that title somewhere down the line because it was Laredo Kid who Rey Fenix defeated to become that champion. And I got to say, I'm glad to see that both Lucha Brothers are singles champions in the WWE umbrella, but man, did him and Axiom stole the show. And it made me, as I was watching that match, it made me want to see both Nathan Frazier and Axiom go down to AAA for a little bit and work some of the teams down there.
Okay.
Because I can guarantee you, they would have some phenomenal matches with some of the guys down there.
Yes. That they absolutely would. I mean, we all know that I'm not a big lucha guy, but Bubba Duke is, and Bubba was pretty silent throughout this match, just in appreciation. But I was loving this match as well. And I mean, it wasn't just the high flying. Like, these guys put that on. They put on the high flying and the lucha aspect, but they also can wrestle very, very technically.
Yeah, this was where I had said they didn't do a AAA Lucha Libre match. They didn't even do a WWE match. They did a New Japan match.
Right.
Where the typical New Japan match is where you start off slow, your headlocks, your arm drags, those kind of takedowns. You build to those bigger moves. And that's what we got in this match. And that's the kind of wrestling that I actually enjoy. Start off with those simple maneuvers, then work your way to the big spots.
Yeah, absolutely. This was an incredible match. And like you said, it probably stole the week. I'm going to say that it was probably the match of the night on SmackDown. Then we come to our U.S. champion who came out for a promo with the WWE's sitcom dad. I'm talking about Trick Williams and Little Yachty. And I'm tired of Little Yachty. I think he can just go. I don't need him on my screen. And really, he kept running his mouth and not really letting Trick say what he had to say. Now, this segment did get interrupted by both Ricky Starks and Carmelo Hayes.
Who's Ricky Starks?
Or Ricky Saints.
There you go. But yeah, on the other hand, I don't mind this because what Little Yachty's doing is very much reminding me of what the old managers, and to me, that's a lost art in professional wrestling is the manager. And I wouldn't mind if we see more of that because I'm no longer looking at Little Yachty as the celebrity who's gotten into the business because I think he's been around a bit now that we can officially say that he's most likely going to be a part of this for a long time to come. But I did like this whole Ricky Saints and Carmelo Hayes getting involved here because I love that we're getting a story for the men's US title. I love that. I'm not sure if I like that Mello is involved so soon. I feel like it's a little too soon for Mello and Trick still, but I'm going to see where this plays out. I do feel like, again, we're going to a triple threat between these three gentlemen, or we're going to Mello and Ricky Saints having a number one contenders match with the winner getting the title shot at Trick Williams.
Right. So we do know that as this happened, Ricky Saints was making his way out and had barely gotten past the top of the ramp when Mello's music hit and he just stormed past Saints. We did see the match between Trick and Mello a few weeks ago in a non-title match.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this situation with Mello and Saints play out. And yeah, very, very intriguing. And I said it's why I didn't see Ricky Saints winning because in the qualifier on Monday, because that situation was far from over.
Yeah. I forget what I was going to say now. I'm just excited to see, like, I love how fast they put Trick, or not Trick, Ricky Saints into this situation, because it felt like when he came out of NXT that he was getting involved in a championship situation down there anyway. So it's like, put him on in a championship situation on the main roster.
Yeah.
Does he need to win the US title right this moment? No. But maybe by SummerSlam or whatever the September pay-per-view is, Money in the Bank, I think it is, you can have him win the US title at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk about Jacob Fatu because we knew that the Usos were there. Jacob Fatu also came to SmackDown on direction of Roman because Jimmy and Jay looked at him and then he said, "No, I'm here for Solo." He had a face-to-face with Solo saying, "Roman wants you to come home."
Yeah, this was Roman sending Jacob on a recruiting mission to try and get Solo back into the bloodline fold. I don't know if it's going to work, though.
No, and we did hear Solo tell him, "Look, if Roman wants me to come home, Roman can come and get me himself."
And maybe that's what we see tomorrow night with Roman. Maybe Solo shows up in that moment or something like that.
Absolutely, there is that possibility. We went on to a very, very interesting tag team match that came about as a result of a confrontation in the locker room earlier in the night when Chelsea Green came to the aid of Tiffany Stratton and helped chase away Michin and BFAB as those two teamed up as those four women went at it in a tag match.
Yeah, and this all stemmed actually from the Fatal 4-Way Women's match earlier in the night when BFAB and Michin were taken out by both Tiffy and Alexa Bliss. We saw the brawl we saw the brawl we didn't see the brawl get separated, but somewhere along the line it did get separated. We saw Tiffy walking into the locker room. Then we saw Michin and BFAB step in, and then we saw Chelsea come in. I think she had a kendo stick in hand too when she came in. And yeah, we saw a very heated Chelsea trying to defend her friend Tiffy, which led to this tag team matchup. And I kind of had this theory about this match because I know Chelsea's doing she seems to be a fully fledged babyface, but I think she's doing this to try and just get close to that US title and get that match.
Right, absolutely. And there is that possibility, but I think that we are starting to see this babyface Chelsea, and it's something that we're not used to seeing on the WWE roster from Chelsea Green. So
Yeah.
maybe it's time for them to lean fully into this. And as we discussed earlier, like with Jade not winning the Queen of the Ring, there was no direction for her. But she made a direction for herself by pulling Tiffany off of the apron to prevent a tag and allowing Michin and BFAB to pick up the victory.
Yes.
And then Jade, who does have history with Tiff, hit the Jaded twice and began to look at the Women's U.S. Championship.
Yeah, and this is a lot of people I've seen online thought this was a step down for Jade. I don't think this is a step down at all because Tiffy herself is a former WWE Women's Champion. I think this is finally shining some light on that U.S. title and giving a story for that U.S. title. Do I think it's only Jade that's going to be involved right now? Possibly. But I do think that maybe when Julia and Kiana James settle their differences, that we see Julia enter herself back into that picture.
See, and I'm really worried about Julia because I think the first run, WWE really didn't know what to do. The second run was sort of, okay, they need to really figure out what they're doing with Julia. I think they've got a direction for Kiana James. I think that this is more for Tiffany to potentially get her revenge because it was Jade who put her out of action and took the Women's Undisputed Championship from.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that Jade, this is the thing with Jade too, is like, yeah, she can come out and say, I beat you for the WWE Championship. Now you got this gold. I'm going to beat you for that one now. And this is where Rhea shows up and beats her for the U.S. title.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, this is, I like this. I like that we're actually going into a feud for this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually wraps up the SmackDown review, Mr. Best. So, the people need to know about everything we have going on here, and we will be right back with the preview for this week.
All right.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap Delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And there you have it. There is something for you each and every night of the week. And we want you to meet the team behind those shows. Mr. Best, myself, Logan Thompson, Bubba Duke, Chris Parrish, and Carl Carafel. Click on our individual links to get our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. All of that and more, turnbucklestudios.org. So this coming week is very, very title heavy again on SmackDown. But one match that didn't show up in my preview, but I did find out, you've already alluded to it. Number one contenders match to challenge Trick Williams at Night of Champions, Carmelo Hayes, and Ricky Saints.
Yeah, and just because I've already said I'm not quite ready for Mello and Trick, I'm going to go with Ricky Saints.
Okay.
I think I like the idea of Ricky Saints being the challenger more than I like Mello right now.
See, and I'm going to go the opposite there. I'm actually ready for Mello and Trick because you can get that feud done and out of the way. Because it's something you can always revisit with the history that those two have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually ready maybe for the Trick Mello gang to reunite. But I'm leaning more towards your idea of the triple threat match at Night of Champions, with Trick coming in and laying both of them out?
Well, if we're doing the number one contenders match, I kind of had this idea just pop into my head where, let's say Ricky Saints wins, he gets the title match at Night of Champions. Melo gets the champion. If Melo gets whoever wins that match at Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
But if nothing is resolved in those two matches, then we go to the triple threat at SummerSlam.
Yep, absolutely. But I have a very funny feeling that potentially this match gets dragged on, and I hope that we're not heading to a best of 7 series with both of these men tied at 1 apiece with one double count out in there. I have to wonder, is this going to be the finality to Melo and Ricky, or does this really, really carry on? And we still have to figure out where Ilya Dragunov is, because we haven't seen him in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, does this become a situation where we're going to have to get maybe a battle royal or a tournament to face Trick Williams?
A battle royal would probably be nice because we're in the middle of a tournament right now. And I'm not saying that to be biased because battle royals are my favorite matches, but I think a battle royal would be better. And you can put, like, if you were to do a battle royal, put in guys that like we know could be credible contenders, like throw in Ricky Saints, put Melo in there, put Matt Cardona in there. I almost said put Apollo Crews in there, but he's not with the WWE anymore. So
No.
I would even go so far as to say maybe move some guys from Raw and put them in that battle royal, and maybe we put like Otis and Tozawa in there or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this, and as I said, I think we can hold off just a little bit more on Melo and Trick finally having their match. I would say hold off to like WrestleMania, but you can do like a best of 3 and end it at Mania there.
Right. Would this be a position where maybe if you want to get a belt onto a guy like Royce Keats, would you have him win another battle royal? Or do you put a guy with the experience of a Finn Balor? Or do you go back to the idea of a Solo Sikoa or a Tama Tonga to carry that belt?
When it comes to Solo, I'm ready for him to be in the main event picture.
Okay.
But because I want to see, I do want to see Tama Tonga go after the U.S. title. Yeah, we can. I suppose we can put Finn there. I think Finn's already had the U.S. title before.
Yeah.
You can put him in there as well. But yeah, I think we'll have to see. I kind of want to see all of that happen after this whole stuff with Ricky Saints and Melo takes place, because I think if Melo does lose this feud, we can maybe start looking at moving Melo into that main event spot as well.
Okay. All right. Our King of the Ring semifinal, Jey Uso and EvonEvans.
I expect this to be a high-flying clinic between the two men because they can fly. I don't think it's Javon's time, though.
No, and I'm going to go with, is Jay going to be fueled by the emotion? Is this where maybe his dealings with Jacob come back and really bite him? Does Javon maintain that measure of composure to pick up the victory?
Yeah, and that's the other thing I've thought about too, is that it seems that in these high pressure matchups that Javon is involved in, it seems that the opponents seem to look past Javon, and then suddenly Javon pulls out that win. We saw it when he qualified for the Elimination Chamber. We saw it when he won the qualifier last Monday. Jay at the same time is not one to look past anybody. If he's got somebody presented in front of him, he's going to go. He'll take them out as long as it's on the road on his path to the championship.
Yeah. a very intriguing semifinal matchup for the Queen of the Ring. And is this maybe a little bit of a foreshadow as well? Liv Morgan and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, and this is where I wanted to address what I think is going to happen here, because I already said Raquel to beat Io Sky. Liv Morgan beat Charlotte.
Okay.
And then we go to a Liv Morgan Raquel Rodriguez finale. Raquel Rodriguez takes the win. And then they have like a heel respect finish, I suppose you can say. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Liv lays down for Raquel, as much as I don't like that finish.
Right.
But then you have Liv try to convince Raquel to go and challenge Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam. And then you have I'm having another scenario painted in my head that I'm going to talk about after this. And then you have Raquel say, "No, I already beat you once. I'm going to beat you again at SummerSlam."
Okay. So I'm with you there on Liv beating Charlotte, but I have to wonder, is Raquel going to be at ringside being a member of the Judgment Day to scout whether it's Liv or Charlotte?
If I'm Raquel, I'm either there or I'm backstage sitting in the locker room watching TV. And yes, I said sitting because I've had enough of those standing while facing the camera while looking off to the side and watching, because that just does not look natural to me.
Right. Do Alexa Bliss and Roxanne Perez make their presences felt in this match as well to cancel each other out?
If you're the Judgment Day, if you're Liv Morgan in the Judgment Day, then yes, because Raquel, or we got this whole Roxanne trying to prove her loyalty. I guess still trying to prove her loyalty despite her actually beating up Finn when that happened.
Right.
I think this is Liv. Yeah, that's also why I think we could see Liv happening. But I did have another scenario get painted up in my head here.
See,
where
I've got one as well.
Yeah, where I saw Charlotte taking the win over Liv. Charlotte beats Raquel in the finals. Liv plants the seeds of anger into Raquel by just subtly jabbing at how she could not win the Queen of the Ring, to the point where Raquel has had enough and takes out Liv and demands a championship match against her still at SummerSlam.
So I'm going to go with this one here, and this is based on Raquel winning, and we're going to get Raquel versus Liv. Raquel wins the Queen of the Ring. Raquel challenges Liv at SummerSlam, and we've already all been discussing ad nauseum the situation between Roxanne and Liv.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it is at SummerSlam that Roxanne costs Raquel the title, showing her loyalty to Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day.
That could be a smart move, but if I'm Raquel, I would know to expect this out of Liv Morgan. I mean, every other former Judgment Day member, when they've gotten in the ring against the other members of the Judgment Day, fully expected that. We saw that with Finn and Dom and Finn and JD those
Right.
few weeks that they fought.
Could we potentially see, and I'm going to suggest this one here as well, Liv Morgan win the Queen of the Ring and challenge Rhea for the title? And we go back, and something that we probably don't want to see, but we get that double champion. And then all of a sudden you can have the Judgment Day between both shows.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not a fan of it, because sometimes if it's the right moment, it works. But I just I just don't want any double champions right now. We've already got a double champion in WWE in Lola Vice. She's one half of the mixed tag team champions in AAA and the NXT Women's Champion.
Yes.
I kind of just I'm curious to see I am very curious to see what they do if Liv does win. Does Liv just say, "Hey, I want a night off," but then Adam Pearce is like, "No, you're not getting a night off. We're gonna have another match to see who's challenging you at SummerSlam."
Yeah, and I think that's the way we're going to go.
Mhm.
But honestly, I do believe we are going to see Raquel win. I think that, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Roxanne turns on Liv and joins
Yeah.
Raquel, and they ostracize Liv from the Judgment Day.
And I just realized what I had said about Liv taking the win and then saying she wants the night off, and only for Adam Pearce to say, "No, you're still getting a challenger at SummerSlam," kind of nullifies the entire Queen of the Ring tournament.
Yeah. That it does. We also have an undisputed tag team championship matchup as Damian Priest and R-Truth will defend against Tama and Tala Tonga of the MFTs.
I fully expect that this is going to be a fight between these four men. We've already seen Tama and Tala challenge or fight the tag team champions before. I think it was a non-title match anyways.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm really curious about is the one team that did challenge R-Truth and Damian Priest a couple weeks back in the War Raiders. Do we see them show up in this situation?
In this situation, I'm going to say no, because they said that that was a situation to put the titles on the line versus the titles.
Yeah.
So in this situation, I say no. I think if we're going to do that, you're going to build for something like that, to potentially a SummerSlam, or even wait a little bit further down the road for Triple Mania.
Mm-hmm.
My big wonder is, as much as I love Priest and Truth, we know that Solo is going to be at ringside getting involved. Is this a case where Royce Keys comes back, or does Jacob show up to say, no, Solo, I'm taking you now to see Rome?
Or is this where Finn comes in to actually give him a hand? Because as we talked about, Finn and Tama Tonga had some sort of interaction on Friday as well.
Yeah.
And maybe Finn does this to try to reestablish a relationship with Damian Priest.
Yep. Is it time for new tag team champions? Is it time for the MFTs, who were really given the role of, the dominant faction on SmackDown, to finally get those titles?
I like how you said finally, but they've already had them a couple of times and didn't really do much with them. I want to keep them in the tag team title picture, but I kind of need other teams to step up. Maybe we've heard these rumors about beefing up the tag team division, and I kind of need to see that starting to take play here.
Okay. And lastly, we go to our world title match. Gunther and Cody with Sami Zayn as the special guest referee.
Yeah, this is one match I've been mulling about in my head and trying to figure out how this goes. The only way, I did present the scenario earlier, but Chris Parrish coming in saying Tama would be a fresh U.S. title competitor. Solo should be a world title guy with Tala as his heater. I said that earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't say Tala as the heater though, but I do like that. But no, to go back to Sammy here, the only way I see Gunther winning is if Sammy screws Cody, and that could be a big possibility. And I think it's still all going to build to a triple threat match between those three men. I would build that for SummerSlam though, because I think there's more money to do that at SummerSlam. Or no, sorry, Night of Champions. There's more money to do that at Night of Champions to put Sammy in that picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to take Gunther winning, but I'm going to say that it's potentially because Sammy is, distracted, has a blind eye turned, and I still think we get some sort of Drew McIntyre involvement.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sammy counts the 1, 2, 3. For me, it gets Gunther away from that career killer that he's been given, which really has fallen flat and painted him into a corner. Gets the title back onto Gunther, and you can go to that feud with Sammy and Cody. And then you can even potentially then figure out a way to turn. Then you can even turn Drew face to challenge Gunther further on down the road. But I am gonna predict that Gunther is our new champion.
And we got Parrish saying Sammy to take the gold away from the Golden Boy. Yeah, and you could actually spin that off. You could put Gunther into another championship picture and spin Sammy off into a match, just a one-on-one match with Cody, and that's money. That's a money match even there.
Yeah.
He's also asking, could we see a HBK Sean Taker like finish? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, could we see Sammy potentially join forces with Gunther to create a new Imperium?
Yeah. I actually just realized what Parrish, I think, had meant. HBK Brett Taker, where HBK SummerSlam 97, he grabbed the chair. Yeah, see, HBK Brett Taker. HBK was the guest referee in Brett versus Taker for the title that night.
Yep.
And Sean grabbed the chair, went to deck Brett with the title, but accidentally clocked Undertaker because Brett ducked out of the way, and Brett took the title that night from Taker, leading to Taker and Sean having their feud.
Yes. No, I am calling it. I think we're gonna get new champions. I think we are going to get Gunther, and I think we get the tag team titles over to the MFTs.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Best, that just about does it. Do you have any other thoughts for SmackDown?
No, just another thing that I'm curious about that's got me hooked is the Danhausen situation. I'm very curious to see where Kit Wilson now ends up in this situation after getting electrocuted.
Yes, that is true. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to head on out of here, we remind you that turnbucklestudios.org is the place to find all of us. Get our socials, watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. You can see we've got our socials here. But, ladies and gentlemen, we like to remind you as well, the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Locker Room Breakdown, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck, we are.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey, teams can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his turn goes number 2. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a week and a cheer.